Righty folks, today's eye-catching headline, the danger of fitness. And before you come at me in the comments like you did on my last video, this is just a title to grab your attention. For the most part, I do agree fitness yields a net positive, but I'm not going to beat around the bush. I've just done this to grab your attention, okay? But there is a bit of a danger to fitness in this situation. For somebody like myself who's been doing this for 12 years, okay, or somebody who's been invested in this in a long time, or maybe you're somebody who just is starting out and you do want to invest a lot of time, energy, money, whatever it might be, into getting as strong, lean, fit, and as athletic as possible, one of the dangers you're going to face is the potential of wasting your time. So what I've done here is I've compiled a list of 30 hacks that I've learned over 12 years of doing this into this one video that will hopefully give you some insight. Now, we'll do 10 hacks per page. I'll just quickly run through them, give a little bit of rhyme and reason. Before we dive into them, if you want to know any more about any of them, if you've got any questions about specific ones, just drop them below and I'll answer them for you. So let's not mess around any longer because I've messed you around with that absolute stunner of a eye-catching title. Alright, 50% of carbs around training. Rhyme and reason for this, essentially, enhance performance, enhance recovery. So if your allowance for carbohydrates that day is 300 grams, try to do about 150 grams around training. I personally like to do a little bit less before and a little bit more after, but that's my personal preference. You'll know your situation, you'll know what time you train, you know what you like to do. If you like to have a bigger meal before or a bigger meal after, do what you want. But trust me, if you get about 50% of your carbohydrate allowance, you will get some upside with your performance and your recovery. Creatine monohydrate, this kind of goes without saying, right? A recent study showed that 70% of all studies that have been done, and this has been heavily studied over the last half a decade, showed there was significant enhancements in performance, right, from those who use creatine monohydrate. So basically the potential upsides of it are so high, it's so cheap, especially with creatine monohydrate, you don't need to do anything fancy. It's a bit of a no-brainer to take it, all right? It's going to make you stronger quicker, it's going to make your muscles look fuller, all the good stuff that we're trying to do when we're in the gym. Flexing the lower back is okay. So for many years I was in that position where don't round your lower back, okay? Think about it. The spine is meant to flex, all right? The spine is meant to bend, all right? What we want to do is make sure it's prepared for that flexing, okay? So you'll hear a lot of times when people are doing deadlifts, don't let your lower back round, don't let your lower back round. That's usually got more to do with their competency and their skill and their understanding of the movement as opposed to it really possessing any kind of danger, right? And if they do get hurt from doing it, they usually weren't strong enough to do that weight. And there's a saying that we'll get to later on, but basically the only dangerous movement that there is the one that you're unprepared for. So if you prepare your spine to flex by training it through flexion, through extension, and being able to maintain certain positions as well, there's no issue with flexing the lower back. Caffeine, 30 to 45 minutes before you start training. This one's kind of speaks for itself, but you'll see it more often than not where people walk into the gym or they'll purchase an energy drink as they're in the gym, okay, and they'll be sipping on it. You're not really getting the benefits of that for about 30 to 45 minutes into the training session. So let's just say you grab one as you walk in, slam it back, all right, then you go in and you start doing your heavy squats. You're probably not getting its peak benefits until you're about like halfway done with your session. Squat deeper by simply manipulating the balance. All right. So for a lot of people, and I've been through this process for many years myself, we want a nice deep squat. We spend ages doing mobility drills, all that sort of stuff. If you want to squat deeper, you can go and do it now. Okay. Your ankles probably aren't your limitation. Your ankle mobility and your hips probably aren't your limitation to squatting deeper. All right, what you need to do if you want to have a nice deep squat is look outside the traditional paths. Don't just use barbell back squat, okay? Great place to start, okay, to manipulate your balance is use a front-loaded squat. Because you'll find that if you hold on to a pole and squat down, you'll probably be able to get into a nice deep position, all right? So one way you can do that with some weight is use a front-loaded squat. Safety bar squat, goblet squat, front squat, they're all great places to start to manipulate that balance. And you'll instantly go lower. You can also manipulate the balance by elevating your heels with shoes or a wedge. Next one, number 6. Your body isn't as fragile as you think. Okay, so for a lot of us, as we're getting into the gym or we train in the gym, we always look at it through the lens. Oh, we've got to be careful, don't want to overdo it. We want to stay away from failure, all that sort of stuff, all right? Your body can actually tolerate a lot more than you think. Have you ever been through a situation in your life where maybe you're training and then something spontaneous has come up and you've gone and played sport with your friends and absolutely just blown the lid off your day and you're wrecked at the end of the day? all right, and you've gone out and done something else, those sort of situations your body can tolerate. Your body can tolerate a lot more than you think, okay? So don't be afraid to push yourself a little bit harder, push yourself to failure a little bit more often. You'll probably see a little bit more results from doing that as well. Foam rolling gives you short-term benefits, okay? We use foam rolling thinking that we're breaking down the tissue, breaking down the tendons. Tissue and tendons, we think we're using it like a rolling pin over a bit of pizza dough. That's not the case, okay? Our muscle fibers, in the most basic terms, are like steel cables. They're super tight. There's no way you're breaking those down, okay? But what you are doing is providing yourself with a short window where the tissue might be more malleable, okay? So for instance, if you're squatting, you're rolling out your hips, all that sort of stuff, you might have a slight window where your hips are, for about 20 minutes, where your hips have a little bit more range of motion than what they normally would. Assault bikes are great for mobility, okay? Everyone thinks that they're just death traps. I personally, if you're somebody who can sit on them and cruise on them for extended periods of time, 3, 5, 10, I just did an hour yesterday, okay? They're actually great tools for mobility because you're getting that thoracic rotation the whole time. Also, cardio is a great aspect that a lot of people leave out of conditioning, just simply moving a little bit more. You think about it, an assault bike, okay? You've got rotation, you've got extension. That's just in the upper body. You've also got that going on in the lower body too, with the knees, the ankles, the hips. It's all great stuff. Trap bar deadlifts are less fatiguing than barbell deadlifts, okay? So I found this out the hard way. I always used to deadlift on Mondays, and then I used to be so burnt out for the rest of the week, especially when I was going really heavy. And then in the last few years, I've switched over to trap bar deadlifts. Now, they have different purpose, different outcomes, okay? But in saying that, I find them to be less fatiguing just because of the position that you put in. Okay, the recruitment of tissue as well is a little bit different. So trap bar deadlifts, if you're somebody who's constantly feeling burnt out from your deadlifts, is a good way to go. Just on a quick side note to that, you usually have to offset it by doing a different squat. So if you want to do trap bar deadlifts instead of barbell deadlifts, I would advocate that you probably do something like a front-loaded squat, okay, because you're leaving a little bit on the table by not doing barbell deadlifts over trap bar deadlifts, okay? So you can offset that by doing a front-loaded squat. 10, fruit is the most efficient pre-workout carb source. I won't go into this too deep, but fructose, obviously quick digesting, so it's not going to sit in your stomach. You're not going to have that heavy sensation, and it's quicker to get into the bloodstream. All right, second round of 10. You need stress to create change. So if you want to see any kind of change, you want to be more mobile, stronger, fitter, leaner, you need to stress yourself. Okay, there's no point if you're trying to get more mobile, again, just passively sitting on a foam roller and just hoping that you're thinking that it's going to get you more mobile, or jumping on the assault bike or the roller and just doing the same output every time, right? You need to do a little bit more. You need to push yourself. You need to create stress if you want to see change. We're more inclined to do this with weights. We need to do it with everything. Progressive overload doesn't just mean adding more weight. So it doesn't mean you just add a little bit more weight to the bar. You can also do it through time. So you can do things for a little bit longer. Okay, you can change up the style of reps. Okay, not just the rep scheme that you're doing, not more or less reps, but you can also change up the style of reps that you're doing, like eccentrics, pauses, okay, faster reps, all that sort of stuff. So there's many ways to be progressive. So if you're struggling to add more weight on the bar, okay, look into other ways, changing up your reps that make it a little bit more challenging so you can create that stress, so you can create change. Cardio will allow you to build more muscle. A lot of people say, oh, cardio is going to ruin my gains. It won't, okay? Cardio is great for enabling you to do more, okay, which is advantageous for lifting weights, right? Like if you can do more, you can do more reps, you can do more sets, you can go for longer, you can go harder. Cardio as well, if you've got a better cardiovascular system, it encourages blood flow, increases your capacity to pump blood around the body. It's all positive, conducive stuff to building muscle. Bodybuilding and powerlifting training is built on extremes. Right, you think about it, a lot of common training that we've been fed, especially through the late 2010s, I feel, as well, or even the early 2010s, was all based around bodybuilding, powerlifting. If you wanted to go to the gym, okay, your trainer was usually going to spit out some kind of bodybuilding, powerlifting, high-road program, depending on what their preference was at the time. You go online, you go to Men's Health, all that sort of stuff. We're getting bodybuilding and powerlifting training, okay? They're all built on extremes. So bodybuilding style training is usually built on, you know, the extremes of what the pro elite bodybuilders do. You have to consider the amount of investment, the time they have to train. What their desired outcome is a lot different to what somebody who just wants to generally build muscle is. Same with powerlifters, elite level powerlifters, right? Their capacity, their ability to do those certain things in the program are a lot different from what the general person who just wants to get strong is. Number 5, lift light to moderate weight fast. So this is something that's often neglected. We're very good at lifting heavy weight, we're very good at lifting lightweight over and over and over, but what we don't do enough of is lift light to moderate weight fast, and this is called explosive strength. Number 6, treat all stress as equal. Okay, picture yourself as a cup. Okay, your whole life as a cup. You got things coming into that cup. You got training, relationship, finances, work stresses, all that sort of stuff. Okay, it all builds up. If you can't manage that ability of it building up, it's going to overflow. And what that's going to mean for your training is you're going to have burnout, injury, fatigue, lack of motivation, all that sort of stuff. Number 7, jumping and throwing will make you stronger. Okay, these are important components of being athletic. Jumping and throwing are what make humans athletic. Don't neglect them. Your ability to recruit, produce, power, okay, is such a vital part if you're trying to get strong and build muscle as well. Overtraining is nearly impossible. So a lot of people coin this term that don't push yourself too hard, like I was speaking about before with your body being more resilient. Overtraining is nearly impossible for the majority of people, okay? Your body can tolerate a lot more than what you think, and you're probably not as close to overtraining as what you think. If you're feeling incredibly fatigued, you need to look at other areas of your life, in my opinion, which is your relaxation/recovery, whatever way you want to put it, and your nutrition. If you're not getting a good sufficient amount of sleep, and you're not eating well, all right, then those are the places to start. I don't think your training program and the capacity and the quantity that you're training is enough. You think about some of these elite level athletes, they do 2 field sessions a day and they might be in the gym twice a day. They're not burnt out and they can perform at peak ability on Saturdays, okay? You just have to be smart about it and look at all elements that influence performance. You can lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. So for a lot of people, you need to go, I need to go on a cut or I need to go on a bulk. What are you doing? Are you cutting or are you bulking, okay? You can do both at the same time. You just have to be in a position to do it. So if you can eat around about maintenance calories, you're in a great position to do what they coin as main gaining, which means that you can probably change the state gradually over time of gaining a little bit of muscle and also losing a bit of body fat. So you relatively hover around the same weight, but your body composition changes because the makeup of muscle is slightly higher and the makeup of body fat is slightly lower. All right. Obviously, the quicker way to do it, if you want to gain muscle really fast, bulk. If you want to lose fat really fast, cut. The benefits of sleep in a pill would be the most powerful steroid. So this one kind of goes without too much of an explanation, but if you could bottle up all the benefits of having a good night's sleep into a pill, it would be the most powerful steroid, okay? It makes you stronger, make you leaner, make you perform better physically and mentally. The upsides of that are just so huge, right? Imagine if they could bottle those benefits into a pill. You could just take the pill, you didn't have to worry about having a good sleep. Right? I think we'd have a lot of more freak athletes on this planet. Last one, last page. Increasing mobility can be achieved through lifting alone. So a lot of people think we need to do special mobility drills, hop on a foam roller, all that sort of stuff, okay? If you take your body or your joints or whatever you're training, let's say squats again, through a large range of motion and you're progressively going deeper and deeper and deeper, okay, with more and more weight, right? By nature, you're obviously going to get more mobile, all right? Because you're stressing that joint, like we talked about before, stress creates change. You stress that joint, you stress those muscles, you create a change in that tissue, okay? And therefore, over time, you're going to get more mobile. Bench press isn't the best chest exercise. Who would have thought this one, okay? I love bench press, I still do it. I think it's a great exercise, okay? But good, better chest exercise, there's loads of them out there. A simple example of this is something that has arm convergence, where basically the hands start out roughly around about the same position your bench press would, but they come together at the top, because that just follows the line of biomechanics a little bit better for recruiting tissue on that pressing motion. Remove stability to lift more weight. So if you instantly want to lift more weight, remove the stability component. So for instance, rear foot elevated split squats everybody hates, mostly because they suck on your legs, but mostly because people struggle with balance. So if you can find a way to remove the whole balance component, okay, you can obviously lift more weight, do more reps, okay, and it takes a whole component out of the lift that could be holding you back. If you're somebody who's struggling to progress their split squats, their single leg Romanian deadlifts, things like that, take the balance component out. Hold on to a pole with your right hand. Hold the weight in your left hand, okay, and just get to work. That is the easiest way to increase the weight, okay, is remove the stability component. The only bad exercise is the one you're unprepared for, like we were talking about earlier, okay. I think all exercises usually serve a purpose, okay. In most circumstances, we all want to go, oh, that's a stupid exercise, that's a good one, that's a bad one. You're going to get injured doing that. you're only going to get injured if you're unprepared for it. So if your body's unprepared to twist, rotate, flex, because you haven't been training it, the likelihood of you getting injured is probably higher. When you run, 7 times your body weight goes through each step. So just consider that. If running is your first port of call, conditioning, and you're just going from sitting down to trying to run 5, 10K straight away, consider that, okay? And this also feeds into the point that strength is going to be your foundation, all right, for everything you want to do athletically. If you can get strong, you can tolerate a lot more. Machines are functional. A lot of people go, machines aren't functional because the term functional has been coined by CrossFitters, all this sort of stuff, functional fitness HIIT classes. Okay, machines are functional because again, they remove the stability component. You think about a seated chest press, you don't have to worry about stabilizing yourself as much as you would with dumbbell bench press. And what that means is you can lift a lot more weight, okay, which means you're going to get a lot more stimulus, which means you're going to get a lot stronger and build a lot more tissue a lot quicker. The gym doesn't make great athletes, all right? So what this basically means is that if you're somebody who wants to play a sport or do activities outside of the gym, your number one priority has to be those activities. Okay, the gym won't make you great at them. Okay, you will make yourself great at them by doing those activities. The gym will just unlock your abilities in those activities to do maybe a little bit more or some new skills. Perfecting technique with lighter weight means nothing. So I see this a lot again on the squat. Trainers will go, okay, we need to just drop the weight. We need to reduce the weight, just work on technique. And they spend half an hour with their client. They're going up and down, and they finally nail a great barbell back squat. And it's like, okay, well, let's put the weight back on we're trying to do before. And then it all goes back to shit. You know why? Because they haven't created any kind of change, because doing all that weight with light, just the bar, hasn't created any stimulus, hasn't created any stress, which is what we talked about before, to create change. What they needed to do, okay, is probably adapt the style of squat that we were doing like we talked about before, all right, where they could still get a decent amount of heavy loading that challenged them, that stressed them, and that's how they're going to create change, all right. Hips flex too. So for a lot of time when it comes, this one goes to the girls mostly, but hips flex too, so we're very good at extending the hips, okay, but we forget to flex them, which is your hip flexors. So if you're standing up, it's about bringing your knee up towards your chest, lowering it back down. If you can load that position, okay, you can get a more 360 rounded complete hip, which is obviously going to allow you to produce more strength. And last one, abs are made in the gym. Yeah, there's that old saying, abs are made in the kitchen. And for the most part, that's true. Obviously, abs are revealed in the kitchen by reducing your body fat by what you do through nutrition. But if you're trying to get strong abs, you need to treat them like every other muscle group. All right, stress them, train them 2-3 times a week progressively, and that's how you get abs. So those are my 30 hacks, okay, on how you can avoid the danger of wasting your time. Like I said, if you've got any questions about any of them or you want to argue any of them, just pop it down below. We'll have a crack at it. Awesome.